Hello everyone, this is the day 2 of our UX Design Week. I'm Adobe Live and Behance.net/live. Hi Daniel.
How are you doing?
Doing good today?
Yeah, very well.
If you missed the episode of yesterday with Daniel, the replays are available on the Adobe Creative Cloud YouTube channel. We will put the link in the chat. Good morning, good evening, good night. It depends
Everything.
on where you're watching Adobe Live. We are live from San Francisco. We'll be live 2 hours with Daniel, and then we will welcome Madis and Rolf for 2 hours. They will continue their prototype. It's a beauty app where you can actually find like if you need a hairdresser in your district, you know, like they are designing the experience to find the best service. And then we have Nick and Ian. They are working on a video game UI. And at the end of the day, we will be with Tanit and Daniel, who design features for Adobe XD using Adobe XD. So maybe, Daniel, you want to recap what we did yesterday?
Absolutely. So what we were looking at was finding a way to get people who are on cruises to connect with activities that are going to pair them with people who have like-minded interests, so that if you were to, for instance, be on a 7-day cruise, you're new to it, or there's just overwhelming options, you can kind of go to this app, put in your preferences based off of the cabin, or the ship and cruise options, and then find those things in a timely manner and get to them and let other people know that you're interested as well, and then again be able to connect with others while you're there at those particular scenarios or activities.
Okay, maybe you want to share the screen and see where you were at the end of the show yesterday.
Yeah, so at the end of the show yesterday, we had a kind of brief flow of the activity selection, and basically allowing the user of this app to look at the preferences, and then after that, looking at the selection he or she had made, allowing them to continue to then basically then look at in the moment, what are they wanting to do. So they've selected their preferences. In this particular instance, this user is a bit more active, so there's tennis, rock climbing, and some, things of that nature. And now the question is, what do you really want to do at the moment? And now that we have all that information, connect you with things that are timely and happening in real time on that ship, and then also have the ability to see who else is there participating in that same activity. And so we're kind of in the middle of that flow. What I would like to do today is kind of build out the rest of that flow and kind of complete the onboarding experience, and then complete the last segment where you get to see and select on the list what of those activities you want to actually participate in. And then from that, we'll start to talk about how we transition mobile, looking at mobile first, then transitioning to a kind of desktop/tablet experience. And it's important to note that on UWP, or for Windows in general, the device categories are really interesting. There's really kind of this idea of either traditional desktop laptops, and since UWP scales for everything, you can design once and build from mobile all the way up, including Xbox and HoloLens. You're essentially having to think about everything and being very selective about where you put your screens and how you're adapting those situations as you go along the process. And so right now we're really going to focus on the scenarios. Most likely, I don't think anyone on the ship is going to have an Xbox or HoloLens. Maybe in the future, but definitely not at the moment. So we're looking at something a little bit more targeted. And again, we're going to go from mobile, complete that flow, and then we're going to look at what we're going to be doing for how the layout, how the interface itself translates for desktop tab experience, because I might be in my room with a surface just like this. Again, we have different type of people who are either more mobile centric, they cross between devices all the time. It could be someone a little elderly. We know that cruises from a demographic point of view tend to have people who are a little more on in life and in the retirement, so they might be more comfortable with larger screens like a tablet to do those same things. So we're trying to kind of make sure we cover all our bases and look at our audience to help inform our design.
Okay, let's do it. And as a reminder, so you're working on the Surface Pro.
Yes, I'm
with
working on
Windows,
Surface Pro.
Working in Adobe XD, which is also available on Windows, so both Windows 10 and Mac. And you are using the Windows UI kit.
That's right.
Provided by Microsoft to build UWP experiences. I mean, you already have the elements. Maybe we can show the UI kit again.
Absolutely.
And how to get it.
So there's a couple of ways you can do that. If you're starting out brand new, you're going to see the dialog that's very familiar. You'll see down here, you'll see the UI kits, you'll see Apple material for Google, and then Microsoft Windows, which will get you to the Dev Center site for Microsoft. And in that, the very first top link is Adobe XD Toolkit. Selecting on that, you'll be prompted to save that. I've already done that. You can put it anywhere you want on your computer, your desktop. For this particular engagement, I have mine in a folder, and you'll see it's under UWP Toolkit. Open that right up. Oh, let's open from the dialog itself. And we'll go to the kit.
So yeah, so UI Kit is just an XD project.
Yes.
And anyone can create a UI kit. If you Google Adobe XD UI kits, we will see UI kits created by the community, even by Facebook. There is a very good one called wireframes that I really like. And yeah, look at all the components that you have already available.
It's really, again, really robust. As I mentioned previously, a lot of what you get in this toolkit has been already ran through a bevy of different usability studies. It's there for not only addressing accessibility, high contrast, low power mode, and as we start to actually bring in more and more of these elements, you'll see me bringing in input fields, loaders, maybe even elements that you'll see like navigation, that right now we're seeing Fluent Design or Fluent Design System really emerge as the new language for Microsoft, and you'll see elements that are motion, light-centric, and have different components in terms of material, and the material we'll be looking at today is also called acrylic, and we're going to see how that works within the interface.
Yeah, you were showing a preview yesterday.
Yes, yesterday.
So Bryce Bernard is asking, I assume that the UI kits are not copyrighted and free.
Free to use.
Yeah,
yes,
free to
anyone.
Use. Yeah, all the operating systems, you know, like they all want you to prototype experiences because they know that at the end it will give you more chances to publish an app. And
absolutely.
They all need apps. You know?
Everyone needs apps. And it's important to really note that the strength of not just the toolkits themselves, but they can help you really rapidly get to a validation point in your design process where you can just really get to this greater state than just wireframes. You're looking at actually real designed elements here, and that really kind of helps you get to where you want and envision your apps.
And so this morning I saw we have Mukesh from India. I see Samijay from Nepal. I see Hisham from Algeria. And Matthias, yeah, you noticed the theme of the day, Matthias. Haha, very good. You opened the contest tab. So yesterday we really had fun and we were really impressed by the quality of your work. Because they were working too. I mean, they downloaded and installed Adobe XD, and we invited you to create and share at least a 3-screen experience. And the theme of yesterday was travel. So we had everything. We had apps to travel to space. We had apps. Actually, there was one very inspired by yours. It was about a cruise where you can pick activities. I said, oh, yeah, it rings a bell. So let me quickly open XD.
And one of the things that we're looking at is just kind of the name for this app. And I was just thinking about that briefly in the morning, a little bit yesterday. And for the moment, unless anyone wants to throw a better idea or a better name, I'm keeping the name of this Onward. So Onward, the idea is to kind of keep people going and engage in the activities on this particular cruise. And it's not just one cruise, it's any cruise. The idea is that you'll be able to kind of plug into any of the major cruises like Caribbean, Carnival, Royal, any one of those particular lines to really get there. If you're new to it, you won't be so lost and you'll be able to connect to the things you love to do and have the best trip of your life. So for the sake of that, I'm just going to really quickly retype, and we're going to probably look at this a little differently, but I want to bring in an element from Illustrator perhaps and look at how we kind of bring things over really easy, copy paste. You don't have to think and fuss with how these two apps relate, because again, that's the beauty of Adobe. You're essentially being able to connect everything that you would in a very seamless and intuitive manner. So
as you are launching Illustrator, maybe we can share my screen and I will explain again how you can participate and get a chance to win a Creative Cloud subscription today. So it's super easy. The theme of the day is food.
Food.
Yeah, that's the theme.
Love it.
Which is also something you can find on a cruise, actually.
Actually, it's very true.
So we just want you to download and install XD. If you are not a Creative Cloud member, you can download and install the free trial. And you design a 3-screen experience. Use the prototype view. It's here to connect your screen. And you use the share button, which is in the top right corner, to generate a URL. And you copy-paste this link in the chat, okay? on behance.net/live, and we will feature your entries today. And at the end of the show, I will ask Daniel, okay, which one is your favorite? What is your favorite one? And he will say this one, and the author of the prototype will get a Creative Cloud subscription. So it's super easy. Here you can add screens, you can duplicate them, and you can drag and drop pictures, you can add text. And when you switch to the prototype view here, you just have to select an element, and then using this blue string, you say, if I click here, I want to jump to this screen with this type of transition. And if I click here, I want to jump to this screen, for instance, with a push left. Okay, so you can preview it. Here we go. Okay, it looks good. And then you click on share and you copy paste the link in the chat. Okay, so we're waiting for your entries, and we will start featuring your work in about 15 to 20 minutes.
I'm very excited.
Good luck. And the theme is food.
So just really quickly, I'm going to take this very basic, type locked up. You have the logo and mark. Nothing outrageously fancy at this moment. We're going to get to the visual design after we get the flow, all considered and rationalized. Okay. But again, it's want to have all the placeholder elements so I can actually evaluate things step by step. Again, showing different ways you can work. Again, we started with the idea and just really wanted to jump right into design to kind of like, again, test and validate some of the working assumptions we had. Normally in a UX design process, you would be going through different research phases. You can include surveys, interviews, contextual inquiries, many things that are going to be required to get a real good handle of the space you're working in and the people that you're building for, essentially. Okay. But again, we're working on just trying to get the raw components here. And so what I want to do here is, oh, it really got big there. Let's go back down and get the ideal relationships that I want. And I'm going to go back to the toolkit here and pull in a loader element.
Okay. Oh, that's the loader.
Yes, progressive bar.
So I'll drop was wondering where you can find the mockups. What type of mockups do you need, Ali? Can I use Typekit fonts in XD? So yes, Thomas, you can. You need to synchronize the sync feature of Typekit. Okay, so with Typekit, you have fonts that you can use on your website, which are called the web fonts. And some of them you can also use as desktop fonts and sync them with your Creative Cloud account, and then they will become fonts that you directly install on the system that you can use in any apps, including Adobe XD. Okay, so just go on typekit.com, synchronize some fonts, and they will appear in your font list in Adobe XD.
And right now I'm just going to, basically have just an element of design using various elements just to see and get a taste for what I'm looking for in real time and get a sense of it. We'll go through a much more formal process of getting all the elements to a point where we have great contrast. But right now we're just going to be looking at just the roughness of the pieces. I'm thinking here the scale. I'm going to group these elements here. And if you want to know the shortcuts I'm using, just let me know. Again, the shortcuts you will see in Adobe XD are very similar to the ones in Photoshop and Illustrator, so that's a really great time save for everyone. You don't have to like remap the way you think, and so that's really fantastic. So Control-G groups every object together. Yeah. And what I want to do is I want to lock those proportions and just increase the width maybe by 200. Oops.
Here we go.
There we go.
There are a lot of people asking again about where is the UI kit. Okay. So if you don't know where the UI kit is, just do a file new. Maybe you can do it. And it will load the welcome screen. And you see at the bottom, this is where you get all the links to the UI kits, including the Windows one. But there is also one if you want to design an Apple iOS app.
That will take you to this site, and just for those getting started, because again my emphasis is really getting new people into the design process, you'll see on the left-hand side here that there's a bevy of design-centric articles, samples,
very good.
And it really goes through the entire process for you, and you'll get to learn everything from usability, input schemas, and to, like I said, mentioned before, the Fluent Design System, where again the emphasis is on light, depth, motion, material, and scale, on top of what was already built for UWP, which stands for the Universal Windows Platform. Again, that allows you to go from mobile all the way to HoloLens, everything between desktop, one simple unified system And again, that toolkit gets you there really quickly. So if you use those building blocks, you're going to have already automatic success. And then it's about laying in your personality, your brand, that identity, and bringing those things to life and targeting the right people the way you want to.
And there is Matthias in the chat saying, oh, you can also find UI kits on XD Guru. And I've just checked xdguru.com, and actually it looks very good. Yeah. I don't know, Matthias, if you are the one behind it, but it looks very good. Dave is asking, is XD only for prototyping? Yes, so it won't. It won't generate the code at the end.
Right.
Okay, so this is a.
And this was what we were doing yesterday in terms of hooking up all the elements. You can see just a little bit of that here.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Right. But again, that's the beauty. You're looking at both design and the actual connection to prototyping. So as I'm just questioning what I'm doing, starting with an idea, I can start to lay those screens out and say, well, is this the correct interaction? Is this the right flow? And see that right then and there. You don't have to resort to just paper and paper prototyping or a different app online like you would in different ones.
Yeah, like Balsamic.
Oh man, yes. Or even today we're in Vision, you have to go to a website and sometimes it's slow and whatnot. This is I'm on a Surface, and it's an older one at that, and I have no hookup, no hangups. Speed is really performant.
Since day one, actually, performance was the top priority of the XD team when they were designing and building the framework. And every time they add a new feature, the first question they ask themselves is, will it impact performance? Yes. So they really pay attention to performance. And it's true that you can have like 1,000 outboard screens loading in the project. It will still be super smooth. You can use global colors. You can zoom in, zoom out. You will never face any issue with performance. So this is for prototyping. But designing and prototyping is more and more important in the life cycle of a project and an app development, because you want to invest a lot of time, in user testing, prototyping, making sure that you have the right experience before giving it to developers who will spend then a lot of time, and it's very complex to develop an application.
Absolutely.
Although you were telling me that Microsoft actually did a good job with Visual Studio and UWP, they take care of a lot of things.
That relationship is very tight, very strong. So the elements you'll use are not just tied to things that are going to be really great for accessibility. You have things that are connected to high and low contrast modes, power policies. So like if your battery's running low, the acrylic material will turn off. So all those things from a development point of view have been really well thought out as well. So it's a whole connected ecosystem that's been thought of from the bottom all the way up to the top.
So Ali was asking, Daniel, is there a way to check your work on social media? So actually, if you go in the info tab, there is a link to your Behance portfolio.
Oh yes.
And on your Behance portfolio, there is a link to your website, which is awesome. I really like your website.
Thank you. Yeah. So I took advantage of a lot of the integrated tools that Adobe offered, and saw the value in Adobe Portfolio's platform to really have that not only WYSIWYG component, but the customization, the tweaking. I really wanted to get the layout, just as personalized as I am, done in a way that was time efficient, and allowed me to do everything from tagging to creating full responsive design layouts without having to spend a lot of time doing it from scratch or using other frameworks out there. And again, it all connected from Behance directly to the portfolio and back again. So that's really fantastic.
Awesome.
So I don't know if the people looking at saw, I quickly made this logo that I know I'm going to change. It's not perfect in any state. I know I'm going to change it, so I made a symbol out of it at the moment. So you can do that a number of different ways. You can basically just right click and you can see, I've already made a symbol, but you'll have it in the contextual menu here. And at that point, if I actually just go in and literally just double click all the way in, I can change, let's say, this type weight to, let's say I wanted to have a different style altogether and do something like that. And I want to increase the overall tracking for the particular white. I can do that right on the fly. And now the symbol, if you can see here in this left panel that I've opened, which is Control-Shift-Y. Control-Shift-Y opens that panel. You can see that the logo itself is actually updated. So now anytime I actually make screen adjustments, like let's say for the next screen, I want to have this centered. I'm going to bring in some input fields, so let me do that real quick. So I'm going to do a password.
Now they are checking your Behance portfolio in the same.
Oh, okay.
Job.
Thank you.
So maybe you can remind us also what was your career, you know?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So my career started 17 years ago. I started kind of before a lot of the things currently now had been adopted. Even the idea of UX as a discipline weren't really known. You went into school maybe for, you know, HCI or, you know, very more academic-centric computer science-related fields. But what I started was in interaction, and I started at small agencies, and at that point you're wearing different hats. You're having to do everything from conceptual development, you have to understand what the interaction of what you're building, the layout, and building it out, including the production phase. You really have to know the entire spectrum of getting that product from the idea, that thought, validating it along the way, working with clients, working with different people on your team, all the way to delivery. And then the last part of that was maintenance, making sure that you can actually have that something that you're reinvesting in. So I went from that to different agencies throughout my career. And I went from, again, small boutique all the way to like large multinational agencies. And I then took the leap to go from where I lived in Los Angeles, love Los Angeles, but again, there's something to be said about Seattle, which is where I live now.
Okay.
So Microsoft, there was a great opportunity for me to be on that team for Windows 8, 8.1. Met a fantastic, you know, array of designers and just great people up there. And what was really fantastic was that in that I really was able to embrace, you know, kind of the high-level thinking that I wanted to do, but also still be really hands-on with my work. Yeah, and cool. Again, see that in different capacities, whether it was working on the visual design system for the next generation of Metro, or what we call now, you know, what is now Fluent, but before that it was Modern Design Language 2. And then from that, working on product that went and shipped globally that was on the Maps team. Wow. So that had to go and deal with a whole, you know, slew of things from bi-di, which is bi-directional, different languages, working on maps. As you can see, there's a lot of different things you do with maps, right? Navigation, GPS, and all that. So if you look at my website, you'll see either www.theorytree.com or the Behance site you mentioned.
Awesome, thanks. So someone was asking, was it? Oh, good question, Shay. What's the difference between saving the logo as a library item or making a symbol for the app changes? So Creative Cloud Library, I would say the advantage is that you can have an external designer like working on the logo, and every time the designer will save the logo that they are working on in Photoshop, for instance, it will sync with Daniel working in XD, and then you will see the modifications everywhere.
Really great for seamless pairing and having to kind of just go back and forth, whether synchronously or asynchronously.
Collaboration, like it's great. The advantage of having a symbol is that it's also directly included in the XD project. So if you share the XD project, you know, like everything is in the assets panel, so it's really linked to this project, which is also something sometimes that you want, you know, because you have more control. So both use, I mean, you can use both and pick the one that you prefer. Also, with Creative Cloud Libraries, if you want to get synchronization, you have to be online, of course. Yes. Because the symbol is in the cloud, where here with the assets panel, it's directly within the project. So two different approaches. I mean, pick the one you prefer.
Absolutely.
Both are valid.
And again, you're seeing that I'm making like minor changes to this, you know, logo itself, and it's, you know, being reflected automatically over here. And that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to see, like, if I change the scale of this, you know, I can actually see it dynamically on the same time. So I don't have to think about having to go copy paste. That's just not an efficient way. And later we'll look at how we can actually use symbols in a much more effective way of replacing objects that will allow you to do something like, you know, a blank input field, replacing that with a, you know, password input field, or even navigation elements where you can turn things on and off, so that you can also really make that interactive as much as possible.
So Nathan and Miranda, you both ask very good questions about what if I create an icon in XD and I want to add it to a library, or I design a logo in XD or in Illustrator and I want to add it in the library for XD. So this is the first time we have Creative Cloud Libraries in Adobe XD. It was just released last week, and in this first generation of libraries for XD, it only manages bitmap assets. So that's why you can use pictures and work in Photoshop, update in Photoshop, and it will update in your project. Of course, the team is now working on the new generation of libraries for XD, and it will handle vector assets. And then, Nathan, you will be able to drag and drop the icons that you create in XD, and Miranda, you can directly drag and drop in the Creative Cloud library from Illustrator. So this is coming. Unfortunately, like this generation doesn't manage vector assets in the libraries.
So I'm going to close this panel here. I'm starting to actually look at what the login screen is going to do, and I'm going to add a couple of links. So I'm going to do the standard fields you would expect. You'll want to be able to have someone's username and then their password, but also then add a couple of links if you forgot your password, and then also a link for using Windows Hello. Windows Hello is a feature kind of similar to Face ID, where they use multiple cameras on set devices that have them, including infrared, so that maps your face, and you set that up all through the operating system. So Windows 10 is it's a newer feature. It's fantastic. I believe it was introduced in the Creators Update. And again, it's a really fantastic feature that you just, whether it's your Surface, whether it's a phone,
you just face the device.
You just face the device, right? You set it up once, and it's not just for one app. Once you get it set up, it goes everywhere with you. So like you can just log into Windows that way as well. So you can see here that I brought in a couple elements, but I'm going to drop the labels for these. Very simple to do. I just go in and actually select it. Drop them. I don't need them.
Because it's a group, yeah. So it's like Illustrator. When you have a group, just double-click and you see all the elements inside. You can have multiple groups embedded. It's exactly like Illustrator.
Exactly like.
Cool. And Tanav was asking, can you explain how to add animations, effects between each transaction? So today you can add transitions between your screens, your artboards, using the prototype view. So you will see, like, when you drag and drop, when you connect two screens, there will be a pop-up, and you have the choice between maybe 10 transitions. And you can also control the speed, the duration of the transition. So I just invite you to experiment with these transitions and see how you can also emulate micro animations, such as a pop-up coming on the same screen, maybe using Dissolve. So there are many ways to fake micro interactions. That said, if you visit adobexd.uservoice.com, you will see that micro interactions and animations are a huge topic of discussion, I would say, between the XD team and the community. So I invite you to join the conversation, vote for these features. They already have some prototypes running in the labs, which are super interesting. But if you add more votes, then it will become a priority for the XD team.
And right now what I'm doing is I like to work with this simple character mapper, which allows me to see all my icons. These are included with the operating system. They're font icons, and again, they have the same level of rigor that went through the entire OS to make sure they're really compatible with different modes like high contrast and whatnot. So I just want to pick up a simple thing like this little arrow here to indicate like a selection, and then I'm going to do something a little unique. I'm not going to have like with the standard kind of button down here will say submit. I'm going to make it inline. So the idea is that you'll enter your name, you'll enter your password, and then you'll be able to inline click and tap a small little affordance to go in and click. So
Bryce is making a very good point. He's also asking about animation and transitions. Is it simply like a cue, or to the developer about what to do? So it's not only for the developers, actually. It's also for your users when you will do user testing, for your customers if you have to sell the concept of Onward to the cruise company.
Yes.
They have to understand your intent. What will be the experience? Like for instance, using the face.
Yes.
Like to log in. It's not that easy to express.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in this particular thing, you can see that I started with this loading splash screen.
Yeah.
The idea is that I'm going to have the loaders which animate themselves, which is a standard pattern within the operating system. But then I want that loading screen to allow the Onward logo to just shift up and animate, and then bring in the input fields right afterwards.
I see what you mean.
And again, you'll see that even though you have default styles, you'll see that the default styles here has a very pronounced border. You can change that. Again, doing so means different things. So you might not have the same type of accessibility requirements met if you kind of just have a simple box, like let's say a opacity box. So if I were to take out the border here and just have something like that, you would need to think about various different accessibility options. Like if someone's just using keyboard, or someone is using narrator to kind of read the screen, you want to think about all that as a UX designer. And so when you think about that, you are going to at least have an afford in some point where you're going to bring that back so that your keyboard focus, it has that border for you. So you're thinking about all the micro interactions and all the various states along the way as well. But right now I'm going to keep that border because I think it's important. I might blow things up a little bit, but I'm going to have this be white.
Okay. So the cyan color is sometimes a little bit broken with the live streaming software.
Oh, okay.
But it's very easy because you will go in the assets panel.
Assets panel, okay.
And you will change the color of the logo. You will see. Or you can change it directly there, actually. And you'll see, like, if you shift, yeah, just move away from cyan. You see the mess with cyan?
Oh, yes, I see.
It does.
So I have to pick a different color completely? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we can... Yeah, here, yeah.
Okay. Oh. Wow, all right.
Oh, I know why.
Is it masking something?
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not new, Daniel.
Okay.
I know why.
I really kind of.
You can come back to cyan.
That color was growing on me.
So, Chris, you are doing some green screen keying on Daniel's screen, which is not what we want. So you could have a completely transparent UI.
Yeah, yes, that's the future right there. Completely transparent.
A green screen UI.
Green screen UI. Absolutely. So yeah, I'm getting there.
I have to select the layer of the screen. It's a little bit better, but still.
Getting resolved right now.
I think we still have
green screen UI for the win.
Yeah, let me check.
Sure.
Sorry. Just want to make sure that. Yeah, this one looks more solid. Is it okay if we use this one?
Sure, absolutely.
You won't be shocked?
Not shocked at all.
Okay.
Again, the idea is to keep it as agile and flexible. Again, this could have been feedback from a client. This could have been peer reviewed and said, you know what, this isn't really on brand or doesn't really have the same kind of emotional impact we want. So you have to really be flexible in design and realize that things move often. And the idea is to kind of constantly test. And the more and more you get through the process of UX design in general, you'll have more and more data-driven decisions help you really understand what the next steps are. And that's really important in general.
Okay, and you know what we can do? We can also add this blue color.
Oh yeah, we're gonna use this one now, so we don't go back to the other color, the other side.
Just in case, we just save the color. Here we go.
There we go. All right. Everyone agrees we like this color.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's the thing with video encoding. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you have some colors. The worst is red.
Is red, yes.
Yeah, like full red.
It compresses horribly on the web, depending on even for PNGs. Or
No, it's insane. I will show you. It's just insane. Okay, so you will see what they see here when I will go full red. Actually,
that's pretty good.
No, that's pretty good. So why are you?
Oh, but the border is not there.
Yes. Why we're lucky this time.
Yeah. So there's a little. There's a little artifacting going on, but bear with us. We'll try to keep going.
Is there a way to export the whole canvas as a PDF or image? Ooh. So what do you mean by whole canvas, Thomas? You mean all your screens? I think there is a PDF export. Let me check. But I don't think that's what you mean. So you can definitely export one artboard as a PDF. Oh yeah, so you can. So Thomas, if you want to export all the screens into one single PDF, but it will be one screen per page, Don't select anything. Okay, don't select one artboard. Just click outside, so nothing is selected, and you do File Export, Export to PDF, and then you have the choice. You can either create one PDF file per artboard, or one big PDF and one artboard per page. If you want to see like everything like on the XD screen, or you like in the XD experience, and just display all your artboard into one single image, you have to take a screenshot. There is no export for this. But if this is something that you want, actually this is interesting. I don't know what is the use case that you have in mind, but maybe this is something you can vote for on adobe.xd.uservoice.com. This is really the place where you can vote for features, discuss with the XD team. So this could be one.
Yes. Okay, so we're going to go through and actually make symbols out of these elements as well. The idea is to have an on state here, and I'm going to have the on state keyed to, actually I'm just going to select the blue, the new blue that we have, and do that. Again, I could also just go to my colors and done the same thing. So if I back out of that and just say, hey, that border color itself, I really just wanted the blue, not that blue, the border blue.
What do you want to do?
Oh, I just wanted to key the border itself to our blue. And I realize it's keying to the fill rather than the blue.
Oh, you can use the, if you select it, it's to the fill, because it's a fill color.
No, it's a border color that I want to change.
But maybe you can use the color picker.
Yeah, I can do that. I was just trying to bring the color swatch to show them the other way.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
Be flexible.
So Joe Smith.
So Joe Smith is just a,
he's
name.
on the cruise.
He's on the cruise. He's the one going. And then we're going to have another screen where he's actually entered his password. Let's do that. And then we're going to key this color to a default white.
The white side. So it's to express the focus.
The focus, exactly.
I see. That's good. Here we go.
And this is going to be the other way around. We're going to change that around. And now we're going to have him. And then we're going to have just this element here. And you can see here that there's a lot of guides within the toolkit. So you see there's a symbol object for the show password if you were going to have that feature for your particular app. I want to capture all of that because it's all good. So I'm just going to take all these elements and I'm going to go to my layer panel actually just to grab them. Action. And cursor. So I'm just using this to copy and focus. And I want that to be placed here.
And Nathan, yeah, the color picker will evolve the color swatch panel. You plan to add colors feature to the color swatch panel. So Nathan, I invite you to really try to add colors to the assets panel, because it becomes a global color. So if we decide to change the blue to orange at any point, it will change the color on all the screens.
Yes. And you have guides, so I'm just moving objects around, so let me show that again. If I'm moving and I'm looking to center, without much thought, you'll see that blue cyan line there that tells me that I'm centered to the object that I'm in below it. So again, depending on how you work, whether you're more mouse focused or you're more keyboard focused, I sometimes go back and forth depending on my mood. And so I'm going to take this object here, move him over, and I'm probably going to change this color real quick, but we won't change the color. Anyways, we have that just to set up a basic flow and focus. And now that you have your password, this is going to be active as well. And we'll change this icon just for consistency's sake.
So this is the feature to use the webcam, this icon?
Yeah, this is no, this is just a link. This is to show a very accessibility feature feature, which is basically showing what you're writing. So like, let's say I don't remember what my password. Show password. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't know this pattern. Nice.
And then I'm going to grab the link library, which is over here. And I'm going to use the hyperlink button style. And then we say, like, forgot password. And say, sign in, or I believe you put a little dash there with Windows. Hello.
Oh, I see.
So this link did not come with it, so no problem. And then I'm going to really quickly go through the prototyping phase just to make sure that this is the type of thing I want. And I'm not going to have any kind of interaction for the splash screen itself. So basically I want it on a timer setting rather than anything else. And to communicate that really basic transition, I'm not going to do a slide in and slide out, because the goal is to say that later for development, I want the actual logo itself to just slide up instead of having this another screen or panel come in. So I'm just going to have a very simple dissolve. And no ease out, and duration very quick. Okay. So that works. Just want to show that very basic thing, so we'll show it again real quick. There you go.
Oh, nice.
I'm trying to keep things organized here, so we're going to say this is username. This is password.
So the weird colors is fixed now.
That's fantastic.
Scroll regions. This is coming really, yeah. There are like two features that are very requested, like scroll regions. Now you can scroll the entire screen, but not just a specific region. I know the team is working on it, and also fixed elements, which is also connected to this request.
And what I really like the simple copy paste feature, if I forgot to add an element back here, it goes back exactly where it is, so I don't have to think about placement, especially if the artboard is exactly the same in dimensions or on screen. I'm just going to make sure this guy has the same value as this guy. Okay. Where are you among those?
So we see discussions about font gap. Gap, Matthias, actually, it used to be an Adobe. I mean, Adobe acquired font gap. Maybe 5 years ago. Now it's an Apache project. I don't remember the name of the project. Maybe Apache Cordova, maybe. But the main developers of font gap are still working at Adobe. So someone was asking, will there be a stream about font gap and Dreamweaver? Well, don't hesitate to share with us, and you see the Adobe Live team account in the chat. You can send private messages to this account if you want to suggest some names, some topics. We are always happy to get some feedback. If you want to, if there is an artist that you really like on Behance, a designer, UX designer, a motion designer, feel free to share also the names directly with us. And then we'll check the portfolio and check the schedule and maybe invite these artists.
So now I'm going to get into the part of setting up navigation. That's all going to connect to the next flow downstairs, where we have essentially the activity preference. So you're going to see a little bit of the design from the top now kind of start to percolate down below as well. And so now that you've signed in, what I want to do is have this experience where you are validating basically who you are. So you have to connect basically to, let's say, a cruise line of some sort, so Norwegian or Carnival.
Okay.
And so the idea is that you'll have a little profile about yourself. So let's go ahead and create a new symbol. So we're going to adjust this. Delete. And then I want to ensure that this is that one. So I'm just going to delete that. Wait. There we go. There we go. And I should, if I did it correctly, oh no, wait, it linked it still. Forgot. I want to just basically group that real quick. No, I must have made it duplicate.
Oh, really? You have two?
Yeah, I have two on the artboard. No, I didn't. Okay. Anyways, we'll go back to that real quick. What I want to do is basically then have a few other elements from the toolkit in here. And see, where is it? It is over here, I believe. I'm gonna, oh no, it's down here. There we go. And I'm gonna bring in navigation. I'm just gonna bring in this guy here right now. So the idea is like you can have the navigation view, which is also sometimes known as a hamburger, in different, kind of incarnations. You have either the page title view, which you can see here, which has the hamburger with whatever the page title is, or you can have it standalone, or you can have it within a sliver, or in some cases, especially on a desktop, you might have it fully exposed, much like what you see on the left-hand side. Right now, for mobile case, I'm just going to have the actual silhouette of the hamburger itself.
Someone was asking how to manage a hamburger. That's perfect. So receive how passing vector artwork from design tools other than Illustrator. So actually, when you copy a vector icon or illustration in Illustrator, what goes to the clipboard is just SVG code. I mean, you can try. You can copy something from Illustrator. You open a text editor, you paste, and you will see the SVG code. So what XD is expecting is basically SVG, scalable vector graphics. So and most of the tools today, even if they are not created by Adobe, what we try to copy in the clipboard is the XML description of what's happening with vectors, and usually we're using SVG because that's the standard. So I'm pretty sure that if you try with other tools, this could work actually.
I'm going to bring in another element. Oh, I'm going to keep it the same one. Okay. I'm going to go to the type ramp here on the top somewhere. That's the board. There we go. Bring in title. We'll do with that. So what I'm going to do now is, now that you've signed in, you want to connect a trip, and so I'm going to have the individual either select a boarding pass, and because we're on phone and even on tablet, but I think it's going to be less likely scenario, you can just basically take a photo of the pass you have. Again, we're looking at different audiences, right? Some people have a tendency for physical objects, so people like to keep things and have, receipts and have things physical. Some people like everything digital. Depends on who you are, and you want to make sure you're accounting for different preferences, different habits, especially once you know who you're building for. So in this particular scenario, looking ahead, knowing that there's a wide range of people who actually travel, and especially on cruises, I want to have one option that really responds well to people just taking their actual boarding trip pass and basically taking a photo of it, and having that basically then through various APIs, who knows what the real logic would be in real life, but basically then take that in and say the system now knows that you're going to be taking a 7-day cruise to the Bahamas on Carnival, for instance. So that's the scenario we're working for. So we're going to add a little affordance for that. So I'm going to add a photo icon with a little plus tab to say, hey, take a photo of your boarding pass to put it in the system. If you don't do that, the next thing will be a couple input fields to say, all right, a drop down, select the type of cruise, and then give me a confirmation code, and then you'll go. And then that will lead to the other screens we have down below, which will be basically selecting the activity preferences that are tied to that particular cruise. So we'll know that you're on the Carnival cruise to Bahamas thanks to the boarding pass, and we'll know everything that that ship has to offer, and then you're just going to be here in the activity preferences selecting the ones that are kind of interesting to you, so that already when you get to the end of the flow and you're asking what you want to do now at the moment, we'll already have a good running stream of things that are relevant to you. So what I'm going to do is have a big affordance for that. I'm going to basically look at creating a custom shape here.
So Mario is asking, is it possible to add gesture simulations such as swipe left or right? So you can add the transition that we usually have when you swipe left or right, which is a push left or push right. No, this is there is no event like if you because you can run actually the prototype on your mobile device. If you have an iPhone or Android, you can download the free application Adobe XD, and then you connect it with USB. You can also store your application in the cloud and then run it directly on your mobile phone. And you can design live actually. So if you edit your prototype, the colors, you will see the edits live on your phone. If you are running it on a Windows phone, you can still export a web prototype and just use the URL. This is what we did yesterday.
If you do yesterday, we'll show again today for sure.
Yeah. But then there is no gesture like a swipe event. Okay, everything is a tap.
That almost looked like the Windows logo. Did you see?
Yeah, I saw that.
That wasn't it. That wasn't intentional. It was just what it was.
Windows 10. Nice, a good bold button.
Oh yes. Again, make the action itself very well understood. I'm gonna drop a. I'm going to keep the border, and I'm gonna make the key border that same color. And then
So, Roman has a question.
Sure.
Okay, I will try to answer this one. Okay, so if we switch to my screen, so Roman has a question about the blue dotted line when you resize and when you want to do scrolling. So if you are in the design view, and if I do this, if I extend the size of my screen, indeed there is a blue dotted line here. Okay, and I will just put an element at the end, so we know that we are at the end. Here. Okay, so now if I run my prototype, I go to the screen and I can scroll, but you see there is no blue dotted line. Okay, so don't worry, the blue dotted line is just when you select the artboard in the design view. But of course, when you will share the prototype, it will become invisible.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and someone was also confused yesterday.
Oh, really?
So it's good feedback actually.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but it's good because now they directly answer in the chat. I don't even have to explain. They're like,
That's
it's not
fantastic.
visible in production.
And I'm gonna get a drop down arrow from here. Let's use this classic chevron. I'll need that element. Oops. Blank right now, so I remember what it is. And we're gonna need some copy here to basically let the user know what we're basically saying you're connecting to. And so we'll go ahead and make that happen. So we'll say tab to add boarding pass photo to add cruise trip itinerary. Now, someone's going to check my spelling. I'm not always the best there. One thing I always used in all the other tools is check spelling.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do get ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I had the red one on.
There's a typo.
There's a typo. All of them. Oh.
No, we have the check spares. You know, we have the chat.
Yes, there we go.
Yesterday they
Really helped out.
yeah, they spotted all the typos.
Lemonade.
So again, today, if you want to get a chance to win a Creative Cloud subscription, don't forget that you can use XD and create a prototype. 3 screens, it's enough. The theme of the day is food, okay? And in XD, you can share. And with the share button, it generates a URL that you can share, that just copy-paste in the chat with us. And we will feature your prototypes. I don't think we have one already. Let me double check, but We're still waiting for your entries. Yeah. I want to see who will publish the first prototype about food.
Same here. I'm very excited to see it. One of the great things about being in San Francisco, for me anyways, is that the food here is amazing.
Yeah. How is it in Seattle?
It's great too. It's great too.
Good seafood, no?
Great seafood. Great seafood.
Okay.
But I'm going to say where I'm staying, thanks, is all around me is restaurants. So I could just walk and stumble out, and I'm eating food, essentially, which is fantastic. Oops. Not quite that simple, but you know what I mean. Another thing, in using the surface that I am right now, is also just communicating that that what is possible just on the go, right? So like if I was on a small commute, like a train or whatever, I can get things down on a plane, for instance, and not really have to be, you know, with a larger laptop or something like that. I can really just, even with a pen, sometimes be able to move things around too. So now I'm going to add a photo icon.
We have Bryce. He's also from Seattle.
Oh.
And he confirms that you have great seafood and sushi.
Yes. Yes. I live on top of a sushi restaurant, and that's dangerous, I tell you.
Oh my god.
Not not
that
always
be so dangerous
great
for me.
Use this one for right now. But there's another one here. There you go. So one thing is I gotta keep oscillating between the asset manager that I want for my type. So I'm going back and between Segoe UI proper to Segoe MDL to assets. So if people are wondering why I keep getting little squares, that's the reason.
Thanks, Siddhartha, for the feedback about the UI of XD. She's a beginner and she says that it's very easy to understand and use, so that's great.
I might do something a little unique here with this later. I don't know exactly, but I wanted some kind of actual affordance. Maybe I want to add it to just as a visual indicator. So you'll see that I was considering whether or not to have the icon itself somewhere floating as a visual reminder. So the number of times you can increase the signal or the cues to have the user understand what you're trying to ask or what you're requesting from them is all the better. And so I was looking at flirting with the idea, maybe connecting the trip and having the icon affordance for adding it, incorporate the photo. But in real time, I was deciding, you know, I want to have that inline to the copy as that's the instruction that we're having them read. So now you'll see that the icon, even though I'm using Segoe class, I can actually change it right in line, no problem, and add the icon, and it's all good.
That's cool. You in the first beta, remember the first preview of XD, you couldn't change a character like, in the text block. Like you would have one text field, one typeface.
That's right. And you change the baseline a little later.
You feel the pain.
You feel the pain.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm gonna have that stand out a little bit and probably just open this up. Hey, there we go.
And it's the same typeface, right? It's just a family.
Just a family, yes. Same typeface, just a family.
Nice. Ah, we have our first prototype.
Oh, fantastic.
Matthews. Nice. Keep sharing. I'm waiting for 2 or 3 prototypes and then we feature them on the screen.
So now that we got...
and Matthews is from Brazil. Whoa. Nice. He's from Guarulhos. Guarulhos. I don't know how to pronounce it in Brazilian.
Brazil.
Guarulhos.
Guarulhos?
I don't know.
Sorry for butchering it.
Yeah. This was very bad.
Make sure that's centered still, and I believe it is. Yep. Okay, so now we're going to basically say add cruise line. And this is going to be a...
Matthew says we are almost there. with the pronunciation.
Okay.
Almost there.
Almost there.
We're working on it.
We tried.
Yeah. Tomorrow we will speak Brazilian fluently.
That's my goal. I'm going to work on that.
Yeah, just give us 24 hours.
Just give us 24. That's all I need.
Oh, Ali, thanks for the feedback. I think that XD is a really fantastic thing.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
thing.
we'll print it and we put it on the wall of the XD team, which is in this building, by the way.
Oh, yes.
You will meet them tonight.
It's a fantastic place. The way the building is basically this is an older. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's a very old building.
Yeah, yeah.
Someone told me the history once. I try to remember, but I think it was the what's the name? The gold rush. You know. So they would come to find gold back in the days, and this would be the place where you could buy or rent material, like a warehouse for.
Okay.
And Gus is still looking for gold everywhere. Like Gus, it was like 200 years ago stuff.
All right.
And every morning he's looking for gold.
Every morning.
Every morning.
So, almost done with this particular piece. So the idea here is I'm giving the user the option, if they don't have the ability to take a photo of their cruise line boarding pass physically, again, because we're looking at users and what they might likely do, I'm having the affordance to add manually through a drop-down the cruise line they're part in, so whether it be Norwegian or Carnival, then they can just add the confirmation number and the system will then get that.
You're reading the cruise game. I mean,
The cruise game.
I cannot even quote one.
I want to, at one day, travel at least on one.
Okay.
I haven't done it.
You will let me know.
I'll let you know.
Maybe we could have a live stream on the boat one.
Live stream design by the pool. The venue's got to change a little bit, I think. I think everyone would agree.
Or maybe it would be a very frustrating live stream to
Aaron
watch.
Fields there is a beginner going through an interaction design program. That's fantastic. Yes, my whole focus is really starting with how you would start just with an idea. And again, people often will start with sketches. They'll even start with just the basic premise of what it is that you're trying to do.
And look, we have David who says he's a total beginner of XD, but he knows Photoshop.
Oh, yes.
And don't know if you remember, but yesterday he shared a prototype, which was awesome.
Yes, very much
good
so.
With the hamburger menu, I remember it was very clean.
Very clean indeed.
So good job. I guess it was his first prototype.
Yeah. Again, I designed in years in Photoshop, designed in years in Illustrator, and now designing in XD. Yeah. You're using tools all the time, whatever the best thing is or whatever the situation you happen to be in. You know, as a designer, you got to be very flexible in trying to find what suits your workflow, but also what plugs into the larger whole, right? Like, so with other people, that's why Adobe XD is fantastic. Collaboration, you know, PC or Mac. It's not just one thing. Mac, you know, I'm a PC user, obviously, but at home I have a big rig, and I game, and you know, I do some 3D stuff as well. So it's really about you know, having it as broad and open as possible.
And David is working on the next one. Oh my god. You cannot win twice, huh? But it's good.
I did not know that. I didn't know you cannot win twice.
Or we send you something else. Maybe we can send you this. And hovering art director. Let's see what he thinks today about your work.
Okay, let's see. What do you...
no.
Oh, okay.
Make it less stocky.
Make it less stocky.
Stocky,
yeah,
okay.
It's too stocky.
Mm-hmm. I agree. No hovering art directors.
No, as long as you can switch it off, that's fine.
Yes. Politely.
Unfortunately, in agencies, I don't remember. Yeah, I was looking for a switch, but I couldn't find it.
I'm gonna take this down and pass it a little bit. All right. There's probably other language you need right now, but I'm gonna go on move forward. So I want to connect this with what's down below.
Let us know in the chat if you worked in an agency with an art director. would be interesting to see.
Yes.
It's an interesting experience. Have to try it at least once, 1 week. Just do an internship in an agency.
All right, so we have a basic flow. Just want to make sure we're looking at everything again. So yes, we've already assumed that we're skipping a few steps here. We're in time constraints here, but
we get it.
We're getting the idea. And again, sometimes prototypes, you're really not, especially if you're just in conceptual ideation phase, trying to get an idea, not even sell an idea, but to communicate the very raw nature of what you're trying to communicate, right? What's the value of this, and have a paint a picture. What's the impact going to be to the user? What's the impact going to be to the business? Like, oh, I can see the brand align. I can see the brand alignment here. I can see the value messaging. I can see the value prop. All these things are going to be crucial, but you don't have to at all times design every single iteration. Especially when you're starting out, you won't know. You'll have to go through testing to make sure you got all the right pieces in play. You'll even start at low fidelity, which is why we started here early on with just kind of wireframe, fidelity. Bypassing completely going from like a sketching mode directly into XD because of just how fast Adobe lets you operate.
Okay.
So now what I want to do is actually have this particular object, and beyond that I want to have a bigger affordance for it. You'll see that there's an affordance here, this box, right? I'm going to steal him. And he's invisible, which is great.
So Jeremy Patrick, you install XD and you cannot find the folder location. So one trick is click on the Creative Cloud icon, the desktop app, and you can open XD from there. You can open all the apps actually from there. And the UI is much better now because they added a button which says open. You see, no, we have smart people there.
Smart people.
Yeah, we have.
That's insightful.
Yeah. When before you had to guess, you had to click on the icon and guess that it would open the app.
Right.
And we said no. Let's add an open button.
let's just do that.
Yeah.
I got it.
See, user testing.
User testing right in live. Oops. Hey, I didn't want to delete that. Oh, hey. Okay, so let's see here. I'm just going to really quickly go back to the beginning.
Okay, loading.
Oh, you know what? Let me put it on the phone because we haven't done that yet. So let me make that happen.
So make sure it's the home. Yeah, it's the home, right?
That's the home. Yes.
Okay, now it's the home.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So okay.
Yeah. So this
is important. Like there is a blue icon here. It looks like very small and useless,
right
but it's super important. This is the first screen. So when you share a prototype on the web, you say I want this screen to be the first one.
Right.
Okay.
We do have two homes at the moment.
Because you have two experiences.
Because we have two experiences, but we're going to now merge them into one experience. And I basically...
So this would be... Yeah.
I think I have the way... I wanted to hook up and see if I could reroute the original path to this last ending path here, which is the goal here for me.
Okay.
But right now we're going to start here with the home and just validate this path.
Share, and you can
so we can share again.
Share again. And update. Yeah.
And it's going to do its
so
thing.
Update, it will keep the same link. So if you still have it on your phone, actually it will work. And upload all the new assets. So the logo in this case, all the new screens. Oops. And we're ready to go.
I think I have one more link from the old one. I had an old link, so I'm just making sure. Yes, I have. Okay, no, it's just that link. Adobe Live Event.
Yeah.
Awesome. Hopefully I still have it here.
Let me grab the GoPro and let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, let me
first.
Let me get it going.
You want to show your personal pictures? Okay, that's fine.
You can see. I think I pinned it for some reason. Oops.
Okay, that'll be like that. Yeah. If we see some yellow, we're good.
Boom.
Yeah.
And let me bring up the contrast real quick because it's a little not bright.
Okay.
My mistake. There we go, brighter. There we go.
Nice. Okay, let's go. So here you see, yeah.
So
it has
back real
exactly
quick. So here goes the splash screen to the login with the focus on the username, Joe Smith. Then I want to focus on the next thing, which is enter password. I've entered the password. I can basically then have the affordance to click on. Now I'm able to connect a trip, and I can scroll down and see that if I don't have a photo, which would have been tapped to a different experience completely, I can have the option of adding the cruise line and add a confirmation number and then go. So that's the next thing. We're going to basically have an assumption that we're doing one or the other, and we're going to connect with the activities.
Awesome.
Yeah. All without cables.
Thanks to the cloud.
Thanks to the cloud, yes. I think we're all getting tired of cables.
Yeah.
Yes, I am. So I need to make, let's go ahead and say that this.
Oh, Dan is asking, what do you mean by two experiences? So in one single Behance project, what you can do is, and this is what Daniel did. He did the first, what was the name of your first experience?
Activity
selection.
Mm-hmm.
And then now the onboarding experience.
Mm-hmm.
You can have, let's say, a smartwatch experience. You can have the website experience. So you can have completely different user flows with completely different screen dimensions,
mm-hmm.
and still have everything in XD. But when you export, when you share the prototype, you need to decide which experience you want to share.
Absolutely.
So this is why we changed the home.
And the other thing, the reason why I started where I did, just to clarify from yesterday, is sometimes, you know, as a designer, you're working with many people. You might have one segment of the flow for one, or starting out, you might just get really interested in an idea and you really want to get to it quickly, validating it, testing it out, but then realize, you know, there are other things around it you've got to actually build out. So again, it's really flexible, malleable, depending on just really how you work as a designer or just what the situation happens to be. And so now this should work where I'm going to go through that, you know, same flow, click, click, and now this button should take me to the original section. So this is where we were yesterday, and now we're going to basically push all that down and kind of also add the visual design layer as we're kind of like adding all the little pieces for the activities. So, you know, and that's fantastic.
Can there be two user flows the same way? So Dan, you can also connect your user flows. So I've seen some prototypes shared on XD where you start on a watch experience and then you arrive on a desktop one. You just, yeah, that's what you did actually.
Yes, that's what I did. Yeah.
You just
so I connected the old
screens.
one here, which you can see in this particular panel, this object, going back to the activity preferences, and it was non-destructive and allows me to completely go through the flow without any hindrance. And if you noticed prior, I didn't really speak to it, my apologies, there's a little bit of design you can do while you're still in the prototyping panel.
There is.
So you can manipulate basic shapes, and that's really fantastic. You're not always completely rigidly set.
You don't have the tools, I think. Like you don't have access
you want to tools, but you can do very basic things.
You can move things around.
Move things around, right? Yeah. So that's really I really love. It's like, you know, placement doesn't really matter. It's not that fragile. You can really just do what you need to do.
I will be able to share some prototypes in a few minutes.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Okay?
I'm really excited to see what everyone's contributing.
Yeah, so if you just join, we invite you to create a prototype with at least 3 screens. And the theme of the day is food.
Oh, sorry, I'm taking a sneak peek. Just,
yeah, I'm just checking before.
All
just
right.
want to make sure they all deal with food. Okay, with very strong typography choices. Okay, let's see that. Ready, Daniel? Because at the end of the show, you will have to pick your favorite one.
Yes, ready to look.
So the first one, the name is Food.
To the point.
Yeah, to the point.
Direct, yes.
So trending collection.
Beautiful photos.
I like the layout.
I'm already hungry.
And if you don't know where to click when you share a prototype, it's very easy. Just click anywhere, and you see this is the blue hint. So I can click here. Nice. Burger Festival.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all in.
I'm in.
Whoa. The monster burger.
And this is showing the importance from an art direction point of view, the importance of photography and having the right photography sell what your message is.
It's huge.
Yeah, I know.
Is it 3D?
I don't think I can eat
it's CGI. It's CGI. It cannot be meat. Oh my god. Great. I love the fact that they used in this prototype, you know, the status bar. Like you really feel that you're on the phone. Yeah, it's very, very well done. Good job. Then we have the cloud. We were talking about the cloud, and here we go. Cloud travels.
All right.
Okay. So the heat map, I don't know what you did, but the heat map is not on
It's
the text field.
It's a little
weird.
shifted below.
Lebanon, France. I hope I can go to France. No. Okay. News. Okay.
Okay.
So I guess it's a first try. It's good. Check if you don't. Maybe you have a layer on the top. It looks like there is a.
It
Some
looks like the
contrast
shifting
issue.
happened where the original hotspots were in the old position.
So yeah, but yeah, thanks for sharing. Cloud Travels, 3 screens. Let us know in the chat who is the author and if this was your first prototype, how you feel about XD. Chewy. Oh, using the background blur.
Oh yes.
So login, I guess inspired by what you were doing. So that's great. Fridge menu. Okay, fridge. I want to add milk.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, you see, you can manage your in the menu pesto.
All right.
I need pasta. I wasn't sure.
That's
But for
the
pesto
engine.
pasta, yeah, you need pesto and pasta.
Pesto is one of my favorite
Yeah,
sauces,
I always
actually.
forget. So I'm very glad they have Chewy.
Gotta love that name, right? Chewy. That gets
Wow, a
it
lot
in
of
the
screens.
mindset.
Good job. Then Zeno Restaurants. Oh, I think it's by our friend. Yeah, Joe. He wanted to share the. Yeah, also a good way to share a web page with
Yes.
parallax scrolling in a way. you know?
Yes,
I think
yes.
it works very well. Good job. They look very happy at the Zeno Restaurant. Let us know in Joe if this is a real one. I think it's a real restaurant.
Oh.
And now, the Anonymous. How can we sweeten your day? Okay. Okay, so the pastry, the cream cheese pocket. Looks very healthy. Oh my god.
That's my type of health.
Yeah. Yeah, good job also, yeah.
Yes.
Screens, there is a hamburger, just want to check what happens. Okay, it goes back to the menu. Yeah,
Fantastic.
Keep creating, keep sharing, and before the end of the show, Daniel will pick his
Yes.
favorite one. Awesome.
Thank you again for sharing. Really great to see a lot of new people coming into the process.
Yeah,
that's what
and,
makes me the most excited, to be
Trying
honest.
XD for the first time. Inspired by your login and password string.
Oh, by the way, I don't want to take anything for granted. Again, I'm looking for people who are new to XD and new to design. I started with wireframes. I want to change all the artboards to that background color that I have, and that might change, but I don't have to go one by one. I can just select all the artboards all at once and just basically copy paste that color and boom. So that's really great to kind of just rapidly get that in place. And then I can start adding the actual elements that I want with the color set in mind. And actually, I'm going to forego and now edit, taking away the navigation that I thought I was going to go with. I don't think it's necessary. I'm going to go with the hamburger menu as you saw earlier. I'm going to just drop that completely. I'm going to shift everything down. I'm going to bring in the affordance for the hamburger menu. Actually, this should work too, if I'm correct.
What do you want to add?
Oh, it won't do that. Okay.
Oh yeah, if you paste it. It pastes in some places. It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Love it.
And Nicole, you need help? Okay, I'm working on it, Nicole. Don't worry. Trying to do a live tutorial.
And I want to actually just take this itself and remind people. Oops. Hey, there we go. Getting used to this color myself here. Guides will definitely, more often than likely, save your life. And I'm going to add the logo a little later, so I want to remind myself that I want to do that. Okay. So I'm going to make that a symbol a little later on. No, actually. So this is the other way of doing it, other than using the shortcut Control K. You can just right click and use the contextual flyout menu and just make symbol. So now that's a particular element. So if I really wanted to change and say add this element here, which I just double click, I'm a double click freak, so sometimes I move too fast. I can go into here and right in line add the elements, scale it the way I want. Let's say it's about 24. Too big. You can see how quick it is to make, minor alterations on the fly. You can see the symbols update itself on the right hand side. Placement and lock, so I can just basically replicate that across the board.
Nice.
And now the wireframe relationships, we're going to take care of that. We're starting to move into a lighter typeface, so the weight we want to drop it down, going to be on brand. Normally when we go through this process formally, we'll have either you're doing UX UI yourself, or whether you have a team, someone's going to be really focused on what does the brand style guide look like, what is that developing into, what are the colors, why those colors exist, what are the emotional payoffs those colors have, what is the type relationship to the mark itself. So all these different elements will be very, very important as you move forward. And for me, actually, what I'm going to do is make a really quick change here and move the logo for the app on the right hand side. Yes, colors are very important in app design. It assists as a very strong cue. It can work for different things like hierarchy, again, emotional presence. In addition to that, if you want to hide the Behance notifications, enable quiet mode in Windows 10, the one with the moon icon. Ah, thank you for that. I always forget about
Windows
that.
10.
Boom,
That's
quiet
it.
hours.
Boom.
Fantastic. Thanks for that. Shout out to Thomas there. Yeah, I always get distracted by that little flutter thing, and actually I probably just have that off altogether now. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is going to look at Adobe stock. I think that's going to be important for image selection. We're going to need a lot of things to kind of fill out this grid. So
Okay.
let's look, and I think I have that page open already, royalty free. Oh, Adobe stock, yay. So I'm
And you are signed in.
I'm signed
Yeah.
in, and I want to start searching for, let's see, sports. So let's look at sports. What do we got there?
And what's good with a prototype is that you can use the previews, so you don't have to license the picture. You will get the watermark, but I mean,
Yeah, it's
people
not a
watching
problem.
your, your prototype will still get the point, so that's good.
See if I can find a sport that would be on a boat. Hey, that looks like you're almost on a boat.
Oh, it's a video.
Oh, it's a video, no
Oh,
less.
So you need to you need to filter.
I did not. I thought I had it selected.
And say images.
Let's do it again. Hopefully that same image applies.
Maybe you can add boat.
Hey, oh, maybe sports and boats. Let's do that.
Or you will only have like people sailing a cruise. Cruise is good. No?
Cruise, because there's a lot of sports on cruises.
Yeah.
Yeah, golf. Did you know golf is on cruises?
Oh, here we go. Mini golf.
Mini golf. Oh, where's that?
The first one.
The first one, mini golf. Okay.
It's definitely on the cruise.
I guess that's a sport, right? People consider golf a sport?
Yeah.
I don't know. That could be a very incendiary topic.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to save that to my library, which is now saved. And let's find a few more, though. How about
Yeah.
that?
So as you are finding a few more, I was working on a tutorial because we had a lot of questions in the chat. about what's happening with images and masks, etc.
Yes, yes.
I see a lot of confusion, so just
we're gonna do some masking here too, but we'll do it here for you.
So I was working on this live tutorial on Adobe Live. So
all right, in real time.
So when you have an element like this, and it could become a thumbnail, if you drag and drop a picture, people were struggling like how do I resize the picture? So in this case, when you drag and drop, it just becomes a link image in a shape, and we want just to keep your life easy. So that's why we use this, and then you can turn it as a repeat grid. Okay, here we go. And if you resize one element, it will resize all of them. And that's why you don't have to take care, like pay attention to scaling, translation, etc. But then if you want to be very precise with your mask, there is another way. And it could be with any shape. So here I'm just, again, using a rectangle, but let's say I'm building a more complex shape, just this one. I will use the Pathfinder. By the way, the Pathfinder is not destructive in XD.
I'm sorry?
Do you know that? The Pathfinder is not destructive. So
oh, no.
Here I've merged two shapes. If I click again, and if I do this.
That's fantastic. That's something new. I did not know that myself. Non-destructive.
Yeah, and you can really play with each parameters. And here we go. You have a new shape.
That whole property, that idea, very important in production across the board, from, video design, 3D, like the idea of non-destructive workflows. So you can kind of go all the way back to the most rudimentary form of it. Is essential. Photoshop's done a lot of work in that vein as well. Yep. So those are things that I look forward to a lot myself.
So now let's say I want to use this weird shape as a mask. You just select both, okay? The shape and the picture, and you go in Object, Make Mask with Shape, and here we go. And in this case, you can double click at any time and rearrange your picture. If you're not happy with the framing, if you're not happy with scaling. So this is when you can actively work, okay? So it's useful for a header, a logo, or anything. But in the case of the repeat grid, usually we just add a square, we drag and drop, and XD will handle everything for you.
I'm gonna go in here.
That was it. That was it.
One that are some indoor ones like poker, so I can get something like that. So there's a few more images I want to pick up to populate the board. Not the best one. I'm trying to find one that's really graphic, so let's look at everyone understands a close-up shot. So got one for poker. Shuffleboard. Shuffleboard. I don't know if that's on the boats.
Can I paste an image into a repeat grid without it pasting to every grid? Okay, so the trick, Roman, is to select actually multiple pictures. You're welcome, Nicole. So you can select in your Finder 10 pictures, and you drag them on the... Okay.
Weightlifting. Sorry?
I will work on another tutorial.
Okay.
Okay, what can I use? Oh, here, okay. Okay, Chris, we're ready for a new tutorial. Okay, so here again, just a thumbnail. So let's say I have a thumbnail and I will add a title. The item. Okay, Acumen Pro. There we go. We'll just center it and center the element here. Okay. And I want to create a repeat grid. So we have a button here, or you can do Command R, Control R on Windows. And you have the repeat grid. You can play with the gutter to adjust it. And we'll do 6 items like this. If in your Finder you have pictures, here I will select 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 PNG files. Just drag and drop it on one of the items, and it will populate the images everywhere. Okay? So you don't have to do it one by one. This is what you were asking, Roman, and what was confusing for you. You can also just make sure to double click, check the layers panel to see if you are just editing one item. So for the text, I can say item 2. And actually, you can also have a text file ready.
Yes.
This is what you were doing yesterday.
Yes.
So I invite you to watch a replay of the first episode. And for each line, you just type one item, okay? Line, line, line. And you drag and drop the text file on the text field here, and it will populate the text. Okay, so this is how to...
Yes, I have a series of...
choose a repeat grid, Roman.
Yeah, I have a series of documents that are on my desktop and had all the various
there we go.
activities.
Yeah,
and so I had them all saved, so I can always go back and edit them, which I might likely do. So you can see that I'm just keeping kind of the content management system so as it is, all intact and really organized. And just to, kind of briefly look at, like I have this Adobe event, I have assets, design, documents, and the toolkit. Generally, even in design, I'll have an archive folder. So there's if there's other iterations, I'll just basically do _archive to keep it snapped to the top. And if I keep moving on, like let's say the activity folder from yesterday, I'll move that to archive, so everything's well organized. Naming convention is generally what it is, even the feature itself, if it's that granular, version number, and always my initials. Again, if you're working with a lot of people in real time, it always helps to have that kind of thing in place. So now that I get a number of pictures, I'm gonna look at the CC libraries, Control-Shift-L. And it's in my general library, so you can see all the photos that I have here right now, currently. And I got a few. Yep. So. Yep. Now I don't know if we're all going to align. Let's see if I can. Let's see. Let's see. I don't think they're all going to align.
Yeah.
Okay. Now all those things don't match the words below them, but we can generally change that. Either in a text file or right on.
They get it.
They get it,
this
right?
This is Zumba. This is definitely Zumba.
That's Zumba, right?
This is definitely rock climbing.
That definitely looks like rock climbing.
With a jet ski.
With a jet ski. That's right.
So you have to go very fast on the sea, and then you can climb a mountain with a jet ski.
Exactly.
I think it makes sense.
So now that's really fantastic that we have that in place, and the same thing now.
But yeah, thanks for sharing like Adobe stock and libraries.
Yes.
You see, like the workflow is so fast.
So fast. And it really helps me just, again, communicate what the intent is. And again, I want to have visuals, especially photography, that would be supplied in this case by, let's say, Carnival themselves or whatever other cruise agency, in really bringing that element of interest and excitement, anticipation all to bear on your design.
And Ibrahim, how to show CC library in XD? It's in the File menu. File,
yes, Control-Shift-L.
Or Control-Shift-L or Command-Shift-L on Mac.
Oh, it's already open. It's back there. Yeah, so there's a little thing to notice. So if you have it open and you don't defocus the menu again or the thing, it's still there. So Control-Shift-L won't bring it back to focus. Just Alt-Tab and it'll be right back there. So just a little thing to remember. It's not the same as an in-panel option, like if you were to bring in the layer list. So just keep that in mind. It's a different window unto itself.
Yeah.
So let's
do good feedback actually. Like if you prefer it as an in-panel. I would prefer it as an in-panel experience.
Me too, me too.
So it's a feedback also that you can give to the XD team on Adobe XD.
I think the only reason they do that is I know myself sometimes I want to look at larger size, especially if someone's curating this or you have an art director you're working with that's really looking at the granular details of the pieces you're at. Then that's the situation where you can see like you would want the full screen rather than a panel that's really small. But again, sometimes I myself would like it in panel, so I keep everything in one workflow. Oh, sorry, going back to this. And let's open up that. See, that confused me.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Let's bring that back again. Let's do the same thing. Nope. Oh, that is right. That's right.
Yeah,
I played with it because I broke everything.
It's
not my repick grid anymore.
You can do it one by one.
Yeah, I can do it one by one. So again, sometimes there's a little bit of manual, and that's okay. I did want to have a few things differentiated from the previous panels. For instance, I want to emphasize the ones you've selected as a user so that feedback is immediately visible. And to do that, not only did we add a very gratuitous check item provision for it, or the footprint for it is pretty noticeable, and a circular object that is around it is also the border that's also emphasizing. I want to drop down the opacity of the image and only have the images that are selected pump up as well. So I'm going to show that as well real quick. So let's just really quickly get all these in there. Yep, that one. In fact, for a thing on Windows, what I'm going to do real quick is do this. So now I have both panels open side by side. And since it's a sliver, I don't have to go back for it. I'm looking at as much screen real estate as I have and trying to do what I can to maximize my space available. So rock climbing is the next one. Okay. Oh, I want the board selected. There you go. Very important to have that board selected.
Oh yeah, otherwise he doesn't know.
He doesn't know where to go.
Okay. Zumba, definitely.
Definitely Zumba.
Definitely yoga. Weightlifting is the best.
It's terrible. All of these are completely
she's lifting something.
She's lifting something.
So this is weightlifting.
It's weightlifting.
So tennis, what's happening with the tennis?
Tennis is shuffleboard, I believe. Oh. On deck, on the deck,
okay.
shuffleboard. So, you know, there's a little bit of work here, but, you know, not anything that's too detrimental for sure.
So Daniel, we receive more entries for the Adobe XD context.
Oh, hey,
yeah,
it's fantastic.
Okay, let's check some new entries.
Okay, let's do that.
So Foodie, great name, great icon. I really love it. This is actually the type of icon that you can design directly in XD.
Absolutely,
you know, it's not very complex vector work. So if the author is in the chat, let us know if you do XD or Illustrator. I mean, both work. Okay, let's go with Foodie. Oh, nice. Yeah, contrast works. Select your city. My city is Allen Avenue. Yeah, sorry, I forgot. Mantis Grill. Ooh.
Nice.
I want to load more.
Yes.
Ooh. Smart. Okay, where should I click? Tick, 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 tick. Tick, tick. Clicking everywhere. Oh, maybe I'm stuck.
Maybe on top?
No, maybe I'm stuck now. There is one more screen. Ah, it was the...
Oh.
Okay, let's check that. We can check the account, apparently. Where can I click for the account? Oh, here, maybe. Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Good job.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was great.
Great color scheme.
Yeah.
Imagery selections, fantastic.
Something about pizza.
Oh, local.
Oh, look.
On the POI itself, point of interest.
Yeah. And you worked on Microsoft Maps.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Got that terminology down.
Okay, I'm stuck with the switch. I cannot escape. Okay, but so when you are in a prototype, yeah, make sure we can escape a screen. Find local favorites. Okay, with a grid, repeat grid. Good job. Okay, pizzas. Yeah. With all the reviews.
All the reviews, nice.
Some tabs.
Oh, and a local menu.
Local menu.
Restaurant.
Adriano's Pizza.
I wonder if that's your favorite place. Or was it just random?
Okay, hamburger.
Hamburger.
That's good. Filter. Yeah. Good job, huh?
Yes.
Full experience. Then we have Let's Cook. Okay, nice welcome screen.
See
grid, very clean.
Very clean.
You can search.
See a lot of material design influence with, you know, underline for the inputs and whatnot.
Okay. And then if we click
feature.
anywhere, we go back here. Yeah, good job. 3 screens, perfect. And then we have the daily braid. Oh, nice. This is for me.
This is for me. Yeah, it's for me too. Traveling about,
Toronto.
believe me, I spent a lot of time with just baguette and butter.
Look at this bread. Wow. I love it.
Okay, you're selling me on the imagery itself.
Good job.
Pastries are beautiful. Did you see the map already?
Oh, there's a map.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I checked the map already. Okay, so I guess we only have this bakery. Oh my god, it's very good.
Yeah, yes.
It looks tasty. I mean, I dig it.
Thank you
Good
so
job.
much. Yeah, good job all around. We're gonna group everything to keep it a little simple.
They are so hungry now in the chat.
That's the theme's fault right there, right? So, you know, again, I wanted to ungroup everything that I just did here so I can quickly select and make the opacity 1% there. And in doing so, I want to make sure there's a little opacity behind it so that green can pop. So what I'm going to do is just take that same shape, copy, or I can do that again for everything. Actually, I'll do this as a test. And then have it be...
Oh, you want to blur the...
Yes, but the background blur itself, it's on the other layer, so I'm going to pick that one back up. Oh man, let's go back. There we go. Actually, what I'll do here is add a tint to this itself. Oh, that one, that's why. It wasn't a group. I ungrouped everything else.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. Okay. I did not ungroup everything. Make sure your groups are all the same so they all match there.
Yeah, and if you get confused, you can still check the layers panel
Mm-hmm.
to understand the organization
Exactly.
of your elements.
And again, you know, in the design practice, you know, you live and die by just how well you really organize this. I'm not really doing a fantastic job here right now, but you know, that's the thing that I really missed from Photoshop to Illustrator when I was using Illustrator for UX design for a while, was just the organizational structure you can have. Which again, thanks to XD, you have a really great way of looking at all your groups and folders. So that's really fantastic. I might actually check this green and do something a little different here. What I want to do is increase the size of each one.
Mm-hmm.
Did it? Yep. Okay.
Oh yeah, so they are chatting about how can you embed a prototype made with XD on Behance. Actually, if you check the page of the Adobe Live team, there are 3 projects. One of them is about UX design, and I think we embedded some projects that have been created live.
Oh, that's fantastic.
By Digital Telepathy, maybe one by Sally Harrison. So make sure to check our Behance page, and you will see an example on how to embed XD project directly in a Behance project.
There's a couple things I want to do here real quick. Take the color, add it too, because I keep using it.
Ah, you used the Coquette font from Typekit, Philippe. Very good choice. You didn't use Lobster. I respect that.
Lobster.
Lobster. Oh, yeah.
Alright, so I also want to take this and adjust its luminance value. Not to black, but to white. And then I want to start keying this color in.
So about Coquette, a funny story, Philippe, is that, so I don't know if you're familiar with the Adobe Creative Jams. These are events all over the US where we invite designers like you can be on stage, present their work, and also we have what we call the jammers. So we invite local designers, and they have a 2-hour, 3-hour challenge where we unveil a theme, and they have 2 or 3 hours to create something, then go on stage, present their work, how they did it, and there is a vote, and it's a very fun experience. You know?
That's fantastic.
And it happens in all over the US. So if you want to check if there is a creative jam in your region, check the website adobecreativejams.com. So the funny story about Coquette is that the very first logo of Creative Jams, because now we have a very nice one designed by Brian Yap, who is a lettering artist, but the very first one was using Coquette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was very cute.
Very cute.
So that's the link. Yeah, if you want to check the Creative Jams, this is the link. Maybe there is one in your region. I think there is one coming in Nashville, if I remember well. But just check the websites. Oh, Philippe is going to a Creative Jam in Toronto tomorrow. Oh, you see, Philippe? You can tell them the story about Coquette. In Toronto, so maybe you will meet Megan, probably. Oh, Liz. Oh, you will meet Liz. Be ready, Philippe. Be So it's probably in the evening. Okay, so maybe Philippe, if you come back next week, we have a live stream next week about graphic design and packaging. You can let us know how was your experience at the jam. It would be interesting to get your feedback. Will do. Okay, thanks.
So I'm going to change this to incidental text. Take that, look at the hierarchy a little bit differently.
I know you guys said something about using stock photo previews in XD. How do you do that? Is there a shortcut to open Adobe Stock? So Ashley, Ashley, not sure.
Ashley.
How do you pronounce Ashley?
Ashley?
Ashley? Yeah. Just visit stock.adobe.com and you browse the catalog, and when you select a picture, this is where you will find the option to save it in the Creative Cloud library. And then you come back to XD, you open your Creative Cloud library, and all the previews are there, and you can drag and drop them directly in your screen. So it's super easy. So just visit stock.adobe.com and you will find everything. Oh, and remember to sign in with your Adobe ID.
Yes.
But you are already signed in on Behance, so it should be automatic actually.
There you go, a little more hierarchy, contrast. Okay, so we've now selected, this is moving along, so we're going to update this content, and then as we get closer and closer to the end, I think we have 7 minutes left here, going to then change all this into in the same artboard, into a desktop version of this app. And again, with Windows UWP, what's really great is we work under the assumption that DPI, or rather the density of pixels, depending on your device, as a designer, you don't really have to think about that, which is really fantastic. Everything's basically designed in effective pixels, EPX, similar to other design standards like DPI, independent pixels. So effective pixels. Basically, when you look at something, going back to the importance of the toolkit, the idea is never to really scale the elements that are in this board.
Okay.
So if you're looking at any one of these elements, like let's say this picker here, this picker, the calendar picker itself, will render itself to the right scale depending on the distance. Let's say you're designing for Xbox and a TV that's further away and you're having a lean back experience, versus one that's really close to you, let's say where you're holding your phone, or even my Surface. You can see that in this particular relationship, that's a TV in front of me, this is my Surface, this is kind of the common distances. UWP will handle all that for you, so there's no need for you to deal with the different sizes. You basically copy, paste like Legos.
That's smart.
So now I want to just, we're moving along a little bit. I want to test everything, make sure that the flow that I built yesterday connects with the flow I built today, and that all the pieces are scrolling the way I want and doing the things that I think it needed to do. So I'm just going to preview that right now. Things are great.
And Daniel, I will ask you to choose in 1 minute.
Okay.
What was your favorite project of the day, and the author will get a 1-year Creative Cloud subscription.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Oh, I think there's something broken here. Yep, something broke.
Oh, actually, you can fix it now.
Yes. Oh, right in there?
You don't have to close, actually.
Oh, okay.
If you're in prototype view.
Yes, yes. Let me go back to where
it was. Let's try. Yeah, it's a good test. Okay.
So there's...
Okay, so go to prototype view. Let this window
be there. Okay.
Yeah. And you should be able to add the link, and it will automatically. Oh yeah.
Oh, somehow I must have broken it in.
Here, there is no.
Yeah, there's no link. Okay. That is interesting. Okay, it was just missing link there. Okay.
Yeah. So the window is still here, and. It already works. Okay.
It's already works?
Oh no, because it was selected.
Oh.
So click here. Yeah.
Go back here.
Let's pretend here, and now it should work.
Boom.
Yeah. So you can edit your prototype in real time. You don't have to relaunch the preview. You can. That's what you were saying. In the prototype mode, you can still arrange some stuff.
Actually, that's what I want to do with that.
Okay, so let me show the prototypes again, and let's choose a winner. So you remember we had the Burger Festival. Trending. Okay, we had Cloud Travels. Chewy with the fridge management. Zeno, which is a website. We had Lovin Oven Cakery. We had, what it was this one. Yeah, Foodie.
Mm-hmm.
The onboarding. We had the pizza with the maps.
Mm-hmm.
We had Let's Cook. Let's Cook. It was with this one.
Mm-hmm.
And Deliberate with Coquette and the map too. To access, it was this one.
Yes.
And the like.
Oh, the like. Yes, that's very cute. I think it was partial to the design that was in, I believe, Food. No, not that one. There we go. Foodie.
Oh, Foodie.
Foodie. Here.
Yeah, you like this.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot going on here in terms of actually looking at the relationship of how the brand fits and is permeated via color, the iconography, the hierarchy is really well balanced for the prototype given the time. So Foodie's my choice.
Okay. Congratulations to the author of Foodie. Let us know in the chat. Remind us who you are, and keep sharing prototypes because we will give away 1 credit card subscription during each show today. Okay, so within what time is it? Okay, it's 10 p.m. So in about 8 minutes we will be with Madis and Rolf. They will continue working on the app.
Fantastic.
So maybe we can switch back to your screen and you can let us know what you will be working on tomorrow.
Yeah, so tomorrow I'm basically going to take the flow that you see today. There's a couple more elements that I want to clean up, and maybe I'll get a couple more minutes today to do that, just to kind of add the real data or the real information that I want.
That makes sense.
And maybe some pictures here. This will be kind of more in a feed, so I wanted to show just how that can easily change. This was something that we got from the original toolkit, which had basically already the list mechanism built into it. So it had the 3 items, and we made the whole story about the repeat grid, and then adding the icons to it in the last segment. So finishing that out, which shouldn't take too long, and then we're really going to move into the juicy stuff, which is taking the existing design and then transporting it to a desktop design. So we're going to be designing a 1366 by 768, which is the standard recommended guidance that Windows kind of delivers. And then we might even look at a landscape version of this, depending. The reason why we look at landscape phones sometimes is to kind of see it has a closer relationship to tablet. And so sometimes that matters when it comes to responsive designs. What does your reflow story look like? And again, adaptive versus responsive design, those are different things. If you're looking at responsive,
it would be interesting to cover this topic tomorrow.
So yeah, responsive design is really about the reflow
adaptive
logic.
Or responsive design.
Yeah,
I like that.
Really about that responsive reflow logic and what that looks like. And it could be like, again, adaptive, and Microsoft has provisions for that as well, and guidance, so you can all kind of learn and really get experience in that particular logic, versus adaptive, which is changing the context and feature sets and sometimes hiding and revealing different things depending on device. So like, I may not be doing the same thing on tablet that I would be doing on a phone, vice versa, right? So
awesome.
Those will be things we'll be looking at tomorrow. I want to thank everyone. I will be here,
Daniel.
and very excited to do so.
Daniel will be back tomorrow, same time for this session. If you want more UX design, stay with us. We'll be live with Madis and Rolf in about 5 minutes on behance.net/live. Thanks, Daniel.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thanks everyone out there for watching.